We are in Chiang Mai, and today it's raining for like the fourth day in a row. However, we're going to make torta fritas, or gnocco in Italian. These are the ingredients. This is espelta flour, and we're going to use some Crisco, but you also can do it with coconut oil or different oils. It doesn't have to be Crisco. Also, what I could find in the supermarket is yeast. This type, I never used it, but we're going to see how it works. Okay, so we're going to need some Crisco for the dough, and we're going to start the fire, the heating element. Okay, well, we have the Crisco emulsifying, and we have to do the proof for the yeast. So we're going to put a little brown sugar because we gotta make sure that the yeast is active. So we're going to put a little water here. It doesn't have to be very hot because it kills the active ingredients in the yeast. So I'm going. This is kind of too warm, so I'm going to put some water here, and we're going to do the yeast now. This is eyeballing. I have no measurements, but I think it's going to work just fine. Usually, some people don't put any yeast on it or baking powder. I like it. It's a lot fluffier. So if the yeast is active, you're going to see it in a little bit. Okay, well, we are working out of Airbnb. So most of the Airbnbs are very basic on the stuff that they have. So usually you work it in a plastic bowl or something like that, comparable, but we work with what we have. This is, we're going to put the flour here. Again, this is spelta. And, okay, so eyeballing everything. Okay. See, the yeast is active, as you can see. Camera, you see. Okay, so we're going to put a little bit of the Crisco that already melted. We're going to put a little bit, just like so. 2 teaspoons, and this is about, let's say, half a pound, around. Okay, so we're going to put the yeast and some salt, very important. The dough, I think I put too much water in it, but that is not a problem. We put more flour, and I think it's okay. See? And then we're going to knead, but one step at a time. Okay, so it doesn't have to be too hard, not too soft. That we control with the water, but maybe a little. Okay, so I've been kneading this, and it's almost on the consistency that it has to be. I like it a little bit softer, so I'm going to put a little bit of water. And this doesn't need much kneading. However, I like to knead it a little bit. And it's about right. Okay, this is kind of brownish because it's a stone ground. The spelt, it could be with white. The spelt flour. And I'm going to let it rise. So
a few moments later.
Okay, so we gave the dough some time, so it has risen, and now we're going to start putting them together so to make the actual torta fritas. Okay, so we turn this on, the heating element, so we start heating up the Crisco, and here is the dough. So we make a little ball, and since we don't have a pin, we're working with a bottle that is going to work as the pin. See, we do it. The dough has to be soft enough, but it doesn't have to stick to the table, you know, to the countertop. So okay, so we don't make it very, very thin, but we're going to cut them and see, in two pieces, and it could be four, it could be more different shapes and sizes. We're going to do it later. So as we go, I'm going to start, you know, shaping the dough. But for now, until the Crisco heats up, we're going to wait a little bit. Okay, so we're going to make a little test and see if the Crisco is already reached the temperature. It has. See how it rises to the top? So we're going. Usually the first ones are not the best ones to eat. However, we're going to eat them, of course. Okay, so we're going to adjust the temperature because probably it's too hot already. Okay, so we're going to spread it a little bit. Okay, usually the round ones, you do a little hole in it so it doesn't, it does cook in the center. See? And when you turn them over, try not to pierce on it, because then it gets, you know, the grease gets inside. Okay, so like so. So we wait a little bit. continue to make them because as they come off the hot oil, we put more. And oops. Okay, so we put it there. And we put some more. And this one I think is ready. Okay. See. If it get too wet that it sticks to the countertop, you just throw some flour and it doesn't stick anymore. Okay, I'm gonna leave it a little more. Oops. Be careful not to splash because that is hot and you can hurt yourself. Okay, these are called torta fritas in South America, Uruguay and Argentina, and also in Chile they call it sopaipillas, and it has some more names in Paraguay, but I don't remember the name right now. And we're going to try it a little bit. We wash the bottle though before doing this. This is the torta fritas that we just made from scratch, and I'm going to try it, of course. It's crunchy on the outside. Good.